Hello students and welcome to this revision class of chapter Force and Pressure. We will be doing a quick run through of the important questions from the chapter Force and Motion. So the first question is, what are the various effects of force? Explain with examples. So if you recall, we did talk about the various effects of force. So what is the first effect of force? It is change in shape. For example, let's say you take a Coke can and you try to apply force on that can. What will you see? You will see that the shape of the can will get deformed. It will change its shape, right? So that is the example of change in shape. You can have various examples from your daily routine. Okay. Let's look at the second one. It is change in position. You have a ball which is kept at a certain place. Now if you apply force, you can shift the position of the ball from one place to another place. Okay. Change in speed. How can you apply force and change the speed? Yes, suppose if you have a bicycle and if you try and apply less force, then the speed of the bicycle is going to be less. However, if you apply large amount of force, then the speed of the bicycle will be more. Same case is with the football. Suppose you kick a football with slow speed, with less speed, right? It is going to go to a much shorter distance. But if you apply more speed, then the ball is going to go and travel a large distance, isn't it? Change in direction. Cricket match. Let's take an example from the cricket match. So the bowler generally throws the ball from certain direction, but the batsman can apply force and can change the direction of the ball. The ball can go in any direction in the field, isn't it? Change in state of the motion. How can you change the state of the motion? State of the motion means if an object is at a state of rest, then you can change it in you can get it to the state of motion. If an object is in the state of motion, you can apply force and change its state to rest. For example, the game of football. What does the goalkeeper does? The goalkeeper uses his hands, applies the force and tries to stop the ball. So initially the ball was in motion, but right now the ball comes to a halt, isn't it? It can be the other way also. The goalkeeper, suppose the ball is in his hand. Now he can apply force and he can throw the ball towards the other players in the field. So this way, by applying force, you can change the shape of the object. You can also change the position of the object. You can change the speed, the direction, as well as the change in the state of the motion. Now let's look at the second question. In this question, you have to look at the diagram and state the changes which happen due to force. Now the first diagram is this. So he applies some force and he is trying to squeeze the can. So what is the effect of force? The effect of force is that the shape of the can changes, isn't it? Now look at the second question. Here a person is trying to stop the ball. The goalkeeper is trying to stop the ball, right? Next question here, as you see these two cyclists, now they're trying to cycle fast. So by applying more force, the one who will apply more force will be able to cycle fast. The other person who is applying less amount of force will be able to cycle slowly. So because of force, what is changing? The speed is changing here, isn't it? Look at the fourth question here. In this, a ball touches the ground and bounces back. So what is happening? You can say that the position of the ball also changes, the direction also changes. So these are the various effects of force. So by looking at a diagram, you should be able to comment about what is the change in the object due to the force. Okay. The third question is, what is magnitude and what is unit? Suppose if I give you an example and the example is as shown below, 70 newtons, I have given you this figure. So in this 70 newtons, which is magnitude? Unit is very easy. We all learned that the unit of SI unit of force is newtons. So this alphabet N, this shows that it is the unit of force. What is this 70 here? 70 shows that it is the magnitude or the value. For example, if I ask you how many marks have you scored in your exam, so if you say I have scored 100 or I have scored 90, then that 100 or the value of 90 becomes your magnitude. And After the magnitude, this alphabet like N or meters or seconds or degree Celsius, degree Kelvin, all these becomes the unit. So most of the physical quantity have got a magnitude as well as a unit here. Next question is, what will be the result of the application of forces in the same direction? Suppose there are two forces, two people are applying forces in the same direction. Then my question is, what is the resultant force? In which direction is the resultant force going to apply and what will be the value? So in this case, let's take an example. Suppose we have two forces, 10 newtons, and 20 newtons, and both amount of forces are being applied in the same direction. Then what is going to be the resultant force? The resultant force in this case will be addition of two forces. So the answer for this question is addition of the two forces. So it is going to be 10 plus 20, 30 newtons. And in which direction is the force going to apply? The force is going to apply in this direction as shown here. Isn't it? Now, look at the second question here. What will be the result of application of forces in the opposite direction? Now, this question is exactly, the situation in this question is exactly opposite to the situation in the previous question. Now, here in this question, there are two forces which are actually applying in the opposite direction. Something like this. One is applying in this direction, the other force is applying in this direction. So, what is going to be the effect? In this case, the resultant force is going to be the difference of the two forces, right? It is difference of the two forces. So suppose we take an example, let's say 10 Newton is being applied from this direction and 20 from the other direction, then the resultant is going to be 10 Newtons, means 20 minus 10 Newtons, and the direction is going to be this way. So is the application of forces in the same and in the opposite direction clear to you? Okay, so let's move forward. Now, look at the diagram and comment about the type of force. What type of force is the person applying? The person is applying a muscular force. What is he doing? He is using his muscle power to control the cart, isn't it? So what is a muscular force? You can say that muscular force is a contact force. What is a contact force? In this case, two objects should be in contact, in physical contact with each other. And in this case, which are the two objects which are in physical contact with each other? The person, his body, and the rope with which he is trying to control the cart. Okay? Now the next question is, what is frictional force, and explain using this example. So we all know what is frictional force. What all points can you write in case of frictional force? First thing what you can write is that frictional force is a resistive force. Secondly, it always tries to stop the object. Third point is that it always acts in the opposite direction to that of the motion of the object. So in this case, let us talk about frictional force. The boy is now trying to move this furniture, right? So he is applying force as you look at the screen towards your right. So the direction of the force is towards right. So in which direction is the frictional force going to act? It is going to act in the opposite direction, which is towards left. Isn't it? Okay. The next question is, how can you say that gravitational force is a non-contact force? Which means you need to give a reason for why the gravitational force is a non-contact force. So we all know it's a non-contact force, but what is the reason? So first of all, we need to write what is a non-contact force. What is a non-contact force? A non-contact force is that force in which there is a force which exists between any two objects which are not in physical contact with each other. Isn't it? Now in this case, what are the two objects which are not in physical contact with each other? The apple and the ground. Even though they are not in physical contact with each other, still the apple falls down to the ground. And that's why it is called a non-contact force. Okay? Why do pieces of paper stick to the comb? What force is responsible? And you have to explain the force here. What force is responsible? Electrostatic force is responsible. And why the piece of paper sticks to the comb is because paper does not carry any charge. However, the comb is charged. So we have learned it in the electrostatic force that whenever a charged object and an uncharged object, when they come in close proximity to each other, they stick. Why do they stick? Because all the charges, they get transferred from the charged body to the uncharged body, isn't it? So that force which exists between a charged body and an uncharged body or two charged bodies. Okay, this is kind of a fill in the blanks for you. Look at the first case. We have negative charge and a positive charge. So what is going to happen? Negative and positive will attract. What will happen with positive and positive? Two positives are going to repel each other. Look at the third case. Two negatives. Two negatives are again going to repel each other. So you need to understand what will happen when two positive come together, what will happen when two negative charges come together, and what will happen when one positive and one negative charge comes together. Okay. Now this is an important question. Why do you prefer school bags with broad straps? Why do you generally feel comfortable while carrying the bags on your shoulders, and especially those bags which have got broad straps? So we said that pressure is equal to force upon area. Now, in bags with broad straps, generally the area of the straps is big. It is large. So if the area is going to be large, then the effect of force is going to be less, or it will not be uncomfortable for you. It will be very comfortable for you to carry your books in such a bag which has got large straps, isn't it? Now look at the second question here. Why does a potter keep a cloth on his head while carrying some load over his head? So you must have seen it on the railway stations. What the person does is he takes a cloth, puts it over his head, and then he carries the load over this piece of cloth. So why does he do that? What happens with this piece of cloth? The piece of cloth actually increases the area. So when the area is more, what is going to happen? The effect of force will be less, or the pressure is going to be less. He won't have pain in his head, or he won't feel uncomfortable while carrying that load. Next question is 70 newtons of force applied onto an object of area 2 meter square. So the area is 2 meter square. What is the pressure? I have given you two pieces of information here. One is I have given you the force, which is 70 newtons. Also, I have given you the area of the object on which this 70 newton of force is being applied. Right? You are to calculate the pressure. Now, we all know that pressure is equal to force upon area. Let's just substitute these values over here. What is the force? Force is 70 newtons. What is the area? Area is 2 meter square. If you divide, you will be getting 35 Newton per meter square. So that is going to be your pressure. So you all need to learn how to solve similar numerical. So in these kinds of numericals, what can be done is the values can be changed and similar questions you can expect. So let's move to the next question. Why does the rubber sucker sticks to the wall? Give reason. So you see here, this boy is trying to actually push the rubber sucker against the wall, and he finds that it quickly sticks to the wall. Now what is the reason? The reason for sticking of the rubber sucker to the wall is the atmospheric pressure. Now what actually happens here is that when he push it against the wall, all the air which is in between the rubber sucker and the wall, that all the air actually comes out. Isn't it? When all the air comes out, there is vacuum which is created between the wall and the rubber sucker. But outside, on the outer surface, there is atmospheric pressure which is acting. So what will happen? The outer atmospheric pressure is going to push this rubber sucker against the wall, and that's why it sticks to the wall. So that is the reason why it easily sticks to the wall. Let us also discuss one more question with respect to the atmospheric pressure, and the question is, Why don't we get crushed under the atmospheric pressure? If you remember, we discussed this question. Why is that we do not get crushed under atmospheric pressure? Now, inside our body, please understand that inside our body also we have various gases. Those gases are trying to apply pressure towards the outside. So from within our body, those gases are applying pressure towards the outside, and outside our body there is this atmospheric pressure. So both the pressures, the atmospheric pressure as well as the pressure of the gases which is inside the body, they equalize, they are equal to each other, they balance each other, and that's why we maintain this shape and we do not get crushed under the atmospheric pressure. Okay, connected to this question, we have one more fill in the blank question. Now all of you should be able to tell me this question. We did discuss this. I also showed you the diagram of this instrument. So what is this instrument? It is barometer. It is mercury barometer, which is used to measure the atmospheric pressure. And this is the last question of this current video session. You have to conduct an activity to show that pressure varies with depth, which means at different depths the pressure of any liquid will also be different. So what activity can you conduct? So what we can do is we can take a plastic bottle, we can prick 3 openings in the plastic bottle, 3 holes in it at different depths, and then we can fill the water bottle we can fill that bottle with water. Initially we have to close those openings, and after the bottle is properly filled with water, at once we have to open the 3 openings. So what will we observe? We will observe that the pressure is maximum at the lowermost opening, which is the number 3 opening. However, the pressure is least at the topmost opening. Why is that so? Because at the lowermost opening, what is that amount of water which is exerting pressure? So you have the entire column, the water from top to till that opening, which is exerting pressure. Whereas if you see this first opening, only a small amount of water column is responsible for applying the pressure. That's why from the first opening, the pressure is going to be less, but from the last opening, from the third, the lowermost opening, the pressure is going to be very large. You will see that from the bottommost opening, water comes out with a lot of pressure and it falls at a distance far from the bottle, whereas from the topmost opening you will find that the water falls with least pressure and falls just next to the bottle. So this is the activity that can be conducted for understanding that the pressure is going to be different at different depths. Okay.